All right, Alec, welcome back to Harry Potter.
Welcome back to another year. Another year at
Another
Hogwarts. Here we
year.
go. Another year.
Our
Another
classic fifth year situation.
fifth year. Fifth year for sure. For
Mhm.
sure. This is the first film. So now at Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. For those of you who don't know, we are going through all of the Harry Potter films in order, and we're also going to be throwing in Fantastic Beasts for good measure at the end of this. So
We'll tell you where to
the
find them.
three, and we do movie series occasionally on this. This is easily our biggest endeavor yet. And yeah, it's gonna be great. So Zach, we're here. We're here at Order of the Phoenix, the longest Harry Potter book. It is over 800 pages long. I think it's
Really?
830 something pages long.
Mm.
Um, and this is, I think, the shortest movie to date. I
Really?
could be mistaken on that. Could be mistaken on that. I don't remember the run times. I do seem to remember that this and Prisoner of Azkaban are both fairly, or I think the shortest films, if memory serves, in the series. And so that's really interesting. That means that, well, there's obviously a lot of cut content because that book is jam packed with information and with things and a lot of things happening. This is the first film that's directed by David Yates. He is going to direct, from what I remember, every single Harry Potter film and Fantastic Beasts film from here on out.
Oh.
So he is in the director's chair. He's got the vision of how everything's going, of how it all looks and how it all plays out. And I, for one, think that he did a fantastic job. This is also the only film in the Harry Potter series, of Fantastic Beasts, Wizarding Worlds. Other people do the script. I think J.K. does the script for one and two, and then Steve Clovis came back and helped her with the third one. Steve Clovis is the screen play guy. He's did that for first four movies and then the next three movies. But he did not do this one. It was done by somebody else, which I think is doesn't really mean too much, but I think it's interesting. It does definitely sets a different tone, I think, slightly for this particular movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but back to what I was saying earlier, I love this movie. I think it's great, personally. So I definitely have a lot of stuff to say about it. But Zach, what did you think about Order of the Phoenix?
I definitely enjoyed it for sure. I don't know if I would put it at the top of the Harry Potter so far personally, but I definitely enjoyed it. There's some interesting characters added in the mix, and there is also more freaking shenanigans. Harry Potter gets like constantly these shenanigans put against him. Now, like I talked about it before, he's always being accused of stuff. He's like walking into like, oh, you must have murdered this person. They're dead on the ground in front of you, and now we got this like sham like shades of Chrono Trigger trial going on here.
That is. That's basically what it is. Is really how it feels for
That's
real.
really how it felt. I'm like, what is going
Yeah.
on here? He's not even like letting him respond to the questions. Like he's cutting him off. Like Harry Potter just does nothing. He does nothing wrong except for when he blew up Aunt Marge and kind of walked off on that deal. But
Yeah.
he literally saves this freaking dipshit Dudley, and then he gets punished for it. Um,
Yeah.
ironically, like he gets punished for saving him, but not really punished at all for blowing up Aunt Marge. It's funny.
Well, we have different times. It's the that's the thing. These 2 years have made a significant amount of difference in the Wizarding world. Voldemort's now at large, but the government doesn't want to acknowledge that whatsoever. They think it's easier to paint Dumbledore and Harry as
Yeah, when
liars
it's like
and
North
just to sort
Korea.
of it's just business as usual to them. So
Like this whole like storyline of like suppressing or like yeah, suppressing the truth and just like full on like corruption just runs red through this movie. And I
yeah.
mean we've seen corruption in the past, and like every Harry Potter movie there's always something corrupt going on. But it's like corrupt
Hmm.
media, there's corrupt like Ministry of Magic trying to like enforce the or throw their weight around so much so that, of course, new defense against the dark arts teacher. Like every single movie, here's your new defense against the dark arts teacher. Good luck. And no one's ever gonna acknowledge the elephant in the room. That's like,
It's a
good
government
luck.
plant.
Yeah, they're probably
Yeah.
not normal and probably not gonna be a good teacher. Let's just get that out there.
Well, the last two were okay. I mean, one of them was imposter, but at least he was a decent enough
Yeah, why
teacher.
can't we bring
right?
like Mad Eye as like the actual teacher? Like,
Because he's an RR. He is working full time for the Order of the Phoenix right now, and I actually don't know because he is like an Auror, so I think he is technically employed by the Ministry of Magic, like Kingsley Shacklebolt is. We actually see Kingsley show up with Fudge to arrest Dumbledore, which he has zero intention of actually doing. So yeah, there's definitely lots of corruption. I mean, I think we've never seen corruption run quite so rampant with the adults. I mean, we definitely see there's some figures here and there in the earlier movies, but this time is very much like a me against the world type like feeling. That's the entire. This movie is so good at like leaning into the main. It found the main themes of the book, right? You have isolation, and angst are like a major significant part of this book.
yeah.
Oh, for sure. And it's like it makes so much sense. Harry's 15, but he's also just had this horrendously traumatic thing happen to him earlier in the summer.
And he's also
The
got
previous
a sneaky link with Voldemort, so
Right, yeah. And so Voldemort's feeding into that like easily because Voldemort's realizing that connection exists. And is now able to sort of like feed and tap into that and make Harry feel, despite the fact that his emotions are already doing this for him, he's able to tap in and like make him feel even more isolated than he already feels. So it's just sort of exacerbating that. So that's a major theme of the book, and I think the movie does it a phenomenal. I can't get over how good watching it again. I actually can't get over how good it does at that. It's so good. From the opening shots in the movie, it nails it perfectly.
Well, it's interesting. How do you parse out what is his teenage angst and what is Voldemort? You know, like once they introduce that element of it, I'm like, oh, was he actually not? Because I was like taking notes, like, man, he is like way too angry at Ron for no reason. And then I'm like, oh, so was it just because Voldemort is getting to him like mentally, and that's affecting him, or was he actually just that? Angst?
So I think it's the idea. It's not a constant feed because I think Voldemort's got better things to do with his life than sit around and be like, I'm gonna make Harry Potter feel bad now.
Get mad at his best friend.
Yeah, make him get
be
mad
really
at his
petty
best friend now,
just like Ron was. Justice for Ron.
Yeah, we'll get Ron. Ron is such a bro in this movie, by the way. Ron's like kind of. Ron is. Yeah, Ron's like a total dude in this, and I love him.
Completely petty the whole time. Last movie, and now this movie, like Harry will get mad at him for just being helpful, and Ron's like, "All right, I'll give you space."
He's just being a nice guy. Yeah, he's just being a nice guy, and then
redemption for Ron instantly.
Yeah,
Ron's redemption arc.
I love that. I love that it does such a good job of deeply connecting with that theme. But rebellion is also the other major theme of this book and of this movie. You have the Order of the Phoenix rebelling against the Ministry as well as the dark powers that be, despite the fact that they're hiding in secret. You have students rebelling against the faculty, against the Umbridge, who has basically declared herself just an under headmaster, basically. I'm the High Inquisitor of Hogwarts. Right, appointed by the minister. So she's enacting all these things and doing all these things to which, by the way, the one thing that kind of is like, well, we could have maybe dosed that down a little bit is that the movie goes a little like slap happy with like she's making all these wacky, ridiculous things, and it's like I get that you have to do that because you have to pare it down like to a degree where to make it make sense for the movie. So it's like it does make her like maybe even more comically evil than she already is because she is just evil. She is just pure evil, and I love it. I love how evil she is. Because like everyone who's been like bad or wicked in this always is like, oh, they're darkness, but it's like she's couched in this like chintz, like light, lovable. She has like
Right.
cats, which the most horrendous looking that office has ever looked. Her office covered in all those cats. Um,
She's in all pink, always smiling.
yeah, always in pink, always smiling, always talking down to everyone. It's just like toxic, horrible, awful, horrendous, evil, wicked, purple person. I said purple. I
Purple
don't know why.
person. She's kind of
Person.
purple.
She's a purple. She's just purple. She is just so
She,
evil.
yeah, definitely. Very unlikable, like, grading from the start.
Mm.
I thought, like, she had some audacity to try to bullshit Harry Potter, my man, the boy who lives, about there's nothing going on out there. There's, like, what do you mean? Why would you need to protect yourself with magic? Like, nothing's happening. You could just
It's
stand
like,
up and be like, I'm Harry Potter. Like, what? Come on. Like, do
bitch,
you
there's
know
magical creatures out there that
you
that are
know what
evil,
I've done?
that are after us.
Like, should I read you my resume?
I also like how she has the goal to be like, yeah, there's no, what, there's nothing out there, there's nothing horrible. But then they talk about this like offhanded, how they're restricting the Centaur's territory and stuff like that, and that's the Ministry are restricting their territory, which is very much like a government versus like natives sort of thing, which I think is also another little interesting little thing they sprinkle in there. But then she has the gall to like start attacking them and call them filthy half breeds. But they're just minding their own business.
And also, there's nothing out there to defend from, but you are the defense against the dark arts teacher. What are
right,
you here
it's
for?
theoretical, right? The theoretical practice.
Defense
It's like,
against the
okay,
dark
maybe
arts
the adults
theory?
will have to deal with that.
That's a different class.
That's basically what it is. No,
That's
no, it's this
across the
class.
street.
Unfortunately,
That's
now
across the hall.
that's across the hall. Yeah, theoretical defense against the dark arts.
You talk about the theory.
You have applied defense against the dark arts, and then you have theoretical
Yeah.
defense against the dark arts. I love that.
But I love when
that's awesome.
I love when Harry talks back to when in any situation Harry's just
Oh, yeah.
sassed or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
Seamus was the biggest Harry Potter fan. Like, in the other movies, who like freaking had Harry written on him or whatever. He was like out there cheering for him, and then he's suddenly
Yeah.
the biggest hater. Like, I don't believe a word about you. And he's like, go read the prophet
Yeah,
with your
his
stupid
mom,
mother.
You know, you stupid mom.
And I'll have a go at anyone who calls me
Yeah.
a liar.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like, oh yeah, I'm
No, I
all
like
here
it.
for
It's-
this. And then he yelled at Ron for like helping him or just being nice to him.
He yelled at Ron, and then I was like, oh, I get sad again
It was
because
like,
he yelled
oh,
at his
I
friend.
literally wrote, oh, he's an angry teen, I guess.
Oh, but yeah, the idea of rebellion. So the students to better Hermione comes up with an idea that will have Harry teach us, because Harry's done all these amazing things, and I love Harry's speech there. It's so great. Because it's like, it's so true too, because like, you may be thinking that, oh, he's the protagonist of our book, he's done amazing things, and it's like, the Patronus, that's pretty amazing. Well, like, that's actually difficult for like adult wizards to do. It's like, that's actually pretty impressive. Most of the other stuff, he was like, yeah, I had like help, or I was really lucky, which is like, that's kind of the thing. That's sort of his thing. Harry's not like an amazing wizard. He's not an amazing person. He just has his friends there to help him, and like, that's sort of like, it's sort of why he's, that's why it's like, it's kind of a enjoyable and like a relatable sort of story to a degree, I think. But
For sure. That's why he's such a Chad, because he doesn't it doesn't go to his head.
Yeah.
He acknowledges
Yeah.
that he's not like I'll do some cool stuff, but I'm not like all powerful here.
yeah,
Like
and
that reminds me of the freaking line from Epic Rap Battle where it's like, death would eat you up without Hermione and luck. Because that's like the constant thing that like, yeah, he relies a lot on his friends, and he just kind of falls into some things sometimes, but it's part of his charm.
yeah. That's part of the fun sometimes of stories, right? It's like, oh, the hero gets lucky, and there's a lot of Harry not getting lucky in this one. Let me tell you. Let me tell you.
Well, yeah, I mean, Harry can't catch a break.
Harry doesn't get lucky. He doesn't get lucky with Cho. I mean, come on,
Well,
what's the deal with that?
He could have probably.
Yeah.
I mean, did you see how she was looking at him? nonstop.
Apparently Hermione did. Yeah. Yeah. I love the little things with Ginny too. They show the little things of her like
Yeah.
when Hermione mentions that, the camera sort of like shows her and she's kind of like,
You know.
and
Yeah.
then at the Christmas one when it's like, oh, see you later, Harry, and it shows like, everybody, but then the camera like pans over and shows Ginny like look
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
like a full second. And I was like, hey, I like you. It's good job, guys. You're doing a good thing.
You know when I watched these
You're doing a little.
movies originally, though, I'm the guy who rooted for Ray and Finn to get together. I was rooting for Harry and Hermione. I was like, I don't
A lot of
care.
people do.
I want Harry and
A lot of people
Hermione.
do. Yeah.
I don't care about Ginny. I was like, okay, maybe good for Luna Lovegood.
What's the thing is that the movies have done such a piss poor job of actually giving Ginny anything to do.
Yeah.
I think she has one entire line in the third movie. The fat lady, she's gone missing. Wow, that's great. That's
Wait,
real
did we never acknowledge
meaningful
that they
stuff.
just called her the fat lady? By the way, that was crazy. That was just her name.
It's just her name, yeah.
And
That's
just
the
hearing
portrait.
Dumbledore say like the
Um,
fat lady is missing.
The fat lady. Oh, that's not very nice. She can't help it. She was just drawn that way.
That's all she is.
That's where Who Framed Robert reference. Ginny had like more things to say and do in the fourth movie, and then she had like some kind of things that she was at least present, and she was doing things in this movie too. So like that's something they built her up. We'll see her a lot more in the next one. Whether that's a good or bad thing, we'll have to find out again.
I'm guessing this is a bad thing. I don't remember. So
I mean, I like Ginny as a character. I don't necessarily like what the movies, unfortunately,
How
due to
they
their
massacred.
length restriction, they've unfortunately kind of like very much like limited her screen time by necessity, unfortunately. But
So I actually loved the Dumbledore army stuff and the Room of Requirement. Like I like that. I like that a lot.
yeah,
Harry, like Harry wasn't. I like Harry as a hero because he, like I said, he's humble. He acknowledges that he's not like the most amazing person in the world, but he'll just he'll step up when he needs to, and when his friends encourage him to be a leader or a teacher or whatever, then he'll do it. He's not gonna be like, I'm gonna get these people together and teach them because I know it better than anyone. He takes the role when he needs to, and then he does good with it.
yeah. And it's cool. I love all the scenes of them like learning
Yeah.
from him and from each other. I think those are some of the most enjoyable parts of the movie to me. I love the Dumbledore's army stuff is all great. Neville gets a lot more time here, a lot more lines, a lot more fleshing out, which I love. Neville is undergoing a little bit of a glow up in the movies, and it's wonderful. It will continue, and I'm 110% here for it. I love Neville.
Neville expanded bottom.
Neville expanded bottom. Long bottom. He's really upgraded from the video game character that he was in the first movie. Let me tell you. We all knew and loved. They look awful. One of the worst looking things I've ever seen. There was some kind of like I was actually a little surprised. There's a little bit of jank in some of like the flying scenes in this one.
Okay.
It was a little weird. They were very brief, so
I didn't pay any mind to that. Like,
yeah,
in the flying scene.
I will say the shots themselves were very cool. I love like going through London. That's just such a fun like little thing to do. Like, flying along the House of Parliament and everything, and
I will say
that's cool.
While I liked a lot of the stuff in this movie, I do think it's a little tiring. The trend of Harry just getting framed and accused and misjudged every movie is a little bit like, okay, we're gonna go through the same thing again. Like Harry's never gonna just like be appreciated at face value. Like there's gonna be there's conflict with Ron by misinterpreting stuff in the last movie. Now there's like all the students think he did something he didn't because of the media, and then there's this trial that's misrepresenting him. And then a couple of movies ago, he was just by a body, and he's like, "Oh, you must have done that." It's never ending.
Well, Prisoner of Azkaban didn't have any of that though. Not really.
Maybe not.
So we had at least one respite of that.
Sure,
and Goblet of Fire, that only lasted for like a good, we'll say like 25 to 30 minutes of the movie. That's all that
never let
lasted
up.
there.
Ron never let up with his pettiness, and he held it the whole movie.
He did not hold it the whole movie. He let up after 30 minutes after it was introduced, I would say.
No, but he did get cucked when he asked Cho out to the ball, though. So.
Who, Harry did?
Yeah. So he can never get it right. Get it quite right.
Yeah. So this movie doesn't go into some of the details. So some of the details. The Dementor attack. I realized that the movie never said this. I could have swore it did. Umbridge sent those Dementors after them. So that was one thing. So that wasn't Voldemort. That was actually Umbridge that sent them.
They said Voldemort in this. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was what Dumbledore theorized, right. Even in the book. He theorized it was like, well, it's just reason enough to show that Voldemort's back. He's attacking Harry. That's reason enough. But it actually turned out that Umbridge was the one that did that. To try to frame him, to try to get him expelled, to try to, I don't know, she's crazy. So,
yada.
So that's one detail that was not in this. Oh, there's another one too. Oh, so, you do sort of like see the overjudging of Cho Chang by the DA when it's like, oh, well, I mean, she can help it because she's straight up like forced to tell the truth with the potion.
She was forced to tell the truth, and we never really see like any like, oh, sorry for like shunning you for that, or like,
yeah, no, nope.
She just ousted now. Like, sorry, I mean, that's just how that was the break.
So in the book, it was a friend of hers that did it. So she brought a friend along like to a DA meeting, and then the friend was like really uncomfortable about it, and like went and told Umbridge about it, and then like that's what happened. So there was still like some, like, I think there was still like, if memory served, there was like a little bit of, but Harry and Cho had already had like a weird falling out because they actually go on a date in the book, and she just like cries and asks about Cedric the whole time, and Harry's like, can we not talk about Cedric?
Love that.
And she's like, no! And she gets all upset, and he was like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong! And I'm like, oh, man.
It was so weird when they were talking about the kiss.
Oh, like, that's wet. One of my favorite scenes. That's one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie.
She was
I love that
scene
the
whole time. Like, what the hell is going on here?
You think about his snogging would cheer her up.
Like, okay, way to make that disturbing, actually. Like, not a wholesome kiss. And also the kiss was very stiff for my liking. Yeah,
that was one thing I was thinking too. I was like, dang, yo, for your first kiss, you sure aren't... What are you doing with your hands? Like, you're just... Like, I mean, I guess it's kind of... I mean... Like he just looks stiff as a board.
He's got an 80-degree lean.
Yeah.
And they're both 80-degree lean.
Yeah, they're both 80-degree leaning, and then they they sort of like
and they're just
mash together, and
they could be T-posing, and it would have been.
Well, she had a bag, so he probably was like, "Well, I don't want to like make her drop her bag or whatever." And
imagine they were T-posing, just kissing there, just inexplicable. they pan out.
I'm trying to think of my first like real kiss with my girlfriend, my ex. I don't remember what I did with my hands. I can't remember what I did with my hands. I don't know. I don't really remember. Yeah, probably did that. That's probably what happened. I was like, what do I do with these? I seem to remember it being, I don't know.
If you got the chemistry, the hands will come with it.
It was just awkward. I don't know, awkward first kiss, I guess. I don't know. She was like crying, I guess, or whatever. So I guess she had no means
rebound, like morning kiss. Like it was.
Yeah,
weird.
Cedric's portrait is just like sitting there watching them.
Yeah, it's like she was all about him, but then suddenly it's like, okay, you're just a replacement Cedric, I guess.
Yeah.
Rough. Right. Just
so anyway,
Hermione. I'm Hermione pilled.
So one thing I forgot to talk about in the previous movie is Emma Watson's eyebrows. She cannot, for the life of her, stop moving them to emphasize the fact that she's feeling emotions. Oh, it is. When you realize it, it's like the most distracting thing in the world. She was doing it in Goblet of Fire like this. It's like straight up like this the whole movie. Every line she's saying, she's doing something with it. It's very distracting. It's still pretty present here, but she starts toning it down in the next movie a lot. So you probably won't notice it from here on out. But now that you know that, you can go watch the movies. When you watch the movies back, you'll see it happen all the time.
That's how she channels her angst. She doesn't get angry with people. She just channels it into the eyebrows.
It's very eyebrow heavy. Yeah. Um, so those two themes, I think the movie just does a really good job of weaving those like concepts together, and like just it's just really fun and enjoyable, and like you get really great moments like the fireworks scene is just a delight, true delight.
Hmm.
Getting to see her get her comeuppance in an extremely public and awesome way, and the faculty's like celebrating it too. It's great.
Ron's brothers really are just the pranksters, huh? That's what they do. That's all they do. You know,
Pretty much,
that's
yeah.
their
Fred
thing.
and George.
She give immediate psycho vibes with this "I must not tell lies" shit and all that.
That scene is excellent. Also, I love that scene. It's so creepy. It's so like disturbing. I really love it.
Hmm.
Like that's there's elements of this movie that feel like make it feel like even though like bunch of horrible like dark magic and stuff happened last time. There's like a lot of the like shot composition and the color palette and stuff like that really do like make you feel like unsettled at the right moments. Like they do such a good job with a lot of that sort of thing. So
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, good on them there for that.
So the problem with the Ministry of Magic and Umbridge and all this is like these antagonistic characters seem to always lack any sort of subtlety with anything they do. Like if your plan is to take control of Hogwarts, the way to do it is not have a million rules and like completely start
Well,
throwing
that's
out people and doing this and that. Like that you can't have control. You have a bunch of magical people,
right.
people that know how to do magic in here. You're not gonna fall in line and not want to do anything.
And this is a thing where the books had a little bit more restraint in this sort of thing. She didn't wasn't issuing out like hundreds of rules like boys and girls can't be allowed within 8 feet of each other. Like what does that even mean? What? So what are you doing? No sexual chemistry whatsoever between you horny teenagers, and it's like okay, sure, try to enforce that.
But for what I see,
It
it's
was,
it's like there's no
but
subtlety. Like, I mean, as soon as she stepped in,
yeah,
like the first, pretty much the instantly the start of the class, there was already red flags at the wazoo. Like I'm the defense against the dark arts teacher, but there's nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear out
yeah,
there. And then from there,
right,
it's just
nothing
more
whatsoever.
and more. Like she had no sense. It's so they're kind of like one dimensional in this, or she's kind of one dimensional in the sense she had no real like
Mm,
awareness of like any potential consequences. She was just all like my way or the highway. She meets Hagrid and is like, you might not want to be prepared to stay too long. You know, that's the first thing she says. This huge man, like, what you
this
gonna do?
this yeah, she's like this small. I love how the book describes her as looking like a toad that has dressed itself up in like a bunch of pink flowers. She's like very small and very like grotesque looking, but it's like but she's really prettied herself up to try to make herself look more presentable. And like that's Imelda Staunton is not like she's not like a hideously ugly woman. Like she's a she's a lady. Um, but at the same time
Backhanded
she just
compliment.
embodies that like she embodies that so like that description like perfectly. It's so good. And again, like kudos to the casting again as always. And going back to my favorite characters, some of my favorite characters make a glorious return here. Remus Lupin and Sirius Black,
Hmm.
and they're wonderful, wonderful, wonderful in this movie. I
Hmm.
really like them a lot,
For sure.
especially Sirius Black. I mean, my God, Gary Oldman just killing it.
Yeah,
Such a good character.
he's cool. Lupin you didn't
Yeah.
get as much of, but it's nice to see him around. Um,
Yeah, again, you limit your screen time this much. It's only so much, but
I will say I did like as much as the kiss was kind of stiff. I liked the idea of the room of requirement, and the fact that like the mistletoe formed because that's like what they needed. It
yeah,
was like
to
their
just like
requirement.
the remote requirements. Like, look, guys, come on,
Like
just do it already.
yeah,
Come
like
on,
it came in clutch
you
for
know,
them.
you want to. Yeah, he's bro. He's wingmanning it. The
Like
room requirement wingmanning it.
like not too much longer, then they would probably just start setting up a bed for him. You know, like
I don't know if the castle's that that okay with
the
it with
box of
it.
condoms. Like Like, dude, just give you everything you need. It's the room of
Like,
requirements.
dang, how's this thing made a freaking box of condoms? Oh, but they're magic condoms. They disappear.
Hmm. I was gonna
Yeah.
say if the Voldemort stuff didn't come in clutch, I would have thought that some of his well, obviously, I would have thought a lot of it was like too much. Like the fact he was like pushing Hermione and Ron away when they're not even like saying anything that should cause that. They're like, she was just basically telling them that the way that Umbridge was treating them with the punishment, I must not tell lies. She was basically telling them that's not right. You should tell somebody. And then Harry just gets pissed about it and he storms off. Like, he's like, I was like, okay, it's classic, just angsty teen pushing his friends away situation. But when the Voldemort stuff comes in, I can see it.
Yeah, it's more like I would say it's more like enhancing it to a degree,
Yeah.
right? So like, I mean, the thing I like about that particular scene because like you he's just like you. I mean, it's the classic. You don't understand. You don't understand. But it's like to a degree, it's like it is such an extremely complicated scenario he's been thrust into, where like he has been isolated, straight up, not even told all summer about anything that's been going on. He's immediately when he's brought to where his friends have been all summer, they like barely like he has to like insist to be like what's going on, and then they finally start telling him a little bit. Sirius Black is the only one that seems like he really wants to tell him like actually what's going on, and then he's told by the adults, no, don't do that. Dumbledore doesn't want to have anything to do with him. He doesn't like look at him or acknowledge him in any way, even when he comes to his defense at the trial. You've got all this. You have pressures from so the Ministry is interfering at Hogwarts, but if Harry like does too much about it, then everyone hates him, and everybody hates him anyways. But Dumbledore also doesn't seem to understand or care about anything that's going on. Somebody that he's always looked up to and cared about. Hagrid's gone, so he can't confide in him. Sirius Black basically like at one point then tells him, "You guys are on your own now."
Cho wants to jump his bones.
Cho later wants to jump his bones, but it's
too
it's a little awkward at
too much
first.
for one boy.
It's too much. Well, I like the one person couldn't feel all that. They'd explode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that scene too. That's a genuine. That's like feels like the most genuine laughter that they got on film. It was great. It was beautiful, beautiful,
Right.
cute little moment between friends.
They had some good moments in this movie for
Yeah.
sure, and I liked the introduction of Luna Lovegood.
Oh yeah. Oh, we didn't even touch on her yet. She's such a delight.
Yeah, on paper there's like not that much of her, but like what we do see,
Yeah.
like she's kind of like instantly likable,
Yeah.
just like a quirky little girl, off
Yeah.
doing her thing, being herself, and she's like there's something warm about her, it's a nice character.
Yeah. Even though she has like a high lilty sort of voice, it is like, huh? There's just something like really. It's like a warm hug going and hanging out with her. She's just like so friendly
She's
and
already like there, like believes in him basically,
yeah.
she's like you can tell she's good. She's a good person. She's there for him in the Dumbledore's army, she's there
Yep. Yep.
vouches for him. Just yeah, nice addition. And I like the little bit
For
about
sure.
the Thestrals. I think that's a nice little magical element.
Yeah.
You can only be seen by people who've seen death. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
okay, cool. I don't know why, but that's neat.
Well, that's yeah. I mean, they're a magical creature.
Yeah,
That's just the trait that
because they were all
they
riding them at
have,
the end,
and
right?
they were.
So were they not seeing
And
them?
no,
They're just
they
like
were
riding
not.
on nothing.
We as the audience apparently were allowed to, but
I,
yeah,
I
there
thought
is
they
a
would
moment in the
switch.
book because they ride them in the book too. They ride them in the book too, and they there's like lines and stuff where like both Ron and Hermione are both like, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like
Yeah.
this. Like they're just like it's because they're like flying on nothing or what it seems like to them, which must be like one of the weirdest feelings in the world.
Yeah, because like when they first
um,
introduced them, they did a little nice camera work where they showed from Harry's perspective and then theirs.
mm,
So I thought they were gonna
yeah,
do something like that when they were flying on them. But it's like,
yeah,
okay, well, we're just gonna gloss over that fact, I guess. They thought they should
yeah.
have shown that a little bit, but
Yeah.
It's still nice, still fun.
Yeah. We
Um,
have the introduction of Bellatrix Lestrange.
yeah, yeah,
Um, she's crazy,
she is.
and she kills her cousin. So
Just like that, so
there's that.
quick too,
Just like that.
so quick
Just
with it.
yeah, yeah.
You saw
I think
Harry
that's
as in the vision as the snake, against Ron's dad,
yep.
and yeah, that's where we get them talking about my getting more like Voldemort and angrier. He feels like he's been
Mm.
angrier and angrier.
Oh, that scene with him and Sirius in the family tree room is like, ugh, another great scene. I love that. Um,
Yeah, it is.
yeah, that's really great. I also really like. I actually really like the scene where not quite it didn't quite happen like in the same way in the book. I think Dumbledore still didn't really look at Harry even when he went to his office. But like the movie changing that and having him be like, "Look at me." Like I actually really liked that a lot. Like
Yeah, I love
there's
that
just
too.
something that's so like raw and like it right about that moment. Yeah.
And even after that, he still didn't really get his full undivided attention. Then someone
Yeah.
said something after that. Anyway, I'm like, damn it, look at him again. Focus on him more again. He
Yeah.
freaking yelled for it. God damn it.
Yeah.
I will say, Groppy is so damn weird. I don't like that guy.
Grop. Yeah. Now Groppy, you do not grab. Yeah, so Grop the yeah, okay. So Hagrid has gotten a little bit of reputation in the books for being like, boy, he sure is he might be really lovable, but boy, he really expects them to just do all the everyone to just clean up after all the dumb the dumb stuff that he does that he expects them to do. In this case, his half brother, bringing him from the Giants,
So
and
silly.
just like expecting Ron, Harry, and Hermione to take care of him after he goes away. Which, by the way, that's actually a great scene in the book because they're all taking it's at night and they're all taking their like astronomy exams. So they're like up and they're supposed to be like making star charts and stuff. And meanwhile, like people from the Ministry show up to like take Hagrid away, and they're like attacking him with spells and stuff. You just see it's like the book describes seeing spells just bounce off him, like not do anything before they eventually. And then the professor is like getting into it too. He's like cheering Hagrid on basically from they're all up on this tower, and so they're like looking down and seeing all this happen. And then unfortunately I don't remember exactly what happens. I think he eventually just gets taken away, or he escapes in some way. I don't really remember exactly the finer details on that. And then like the professor like loses track of time, and then he's like, the exam's being done in like 5 minutes, I guess. And then they never look, and then they never go, and then they never go and do anything with Grop because I mean, what are they supposed to do, really?
Yeah. What do you do with that?
What do you do with that? What do you really do with that?
Also, was it
So,
just me? No, we're going down to this final altercation. You know, the where Bellatrix kills Sirius and everything. The when Harry says, "Get behind me," and so the first thing the
mm,
Dementors do is go behind him, and then they just go
the,
for the what are they
the
called?
Death Eaters,
Death Eaters.
the Death Eaters, yeah.
They just go right
Well,
behind him. I'm like, okay, well, they went
I
right for
mean,
the
I mean
back.
to be fair to him, I don't think he expected them to just do like big, huge water mist jutsu or whatever they were using on him there.
There was a nice little scene, and then we go full on. This is full on Star Wars, right? Voldemort
Oh,
literally
the battle
says,
scene
"Do
is
it."
awesome.
He literally
It's
says, "Do
awesome.
it,"
It's
and when in this like dark, like go into the dark side moment where we
yeah.
like kill Bellatrix, basically. He says, "Do it."
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like
Yeah, you just
that's
say do
straight out
it.
of Star Wars.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is very Emperor Palpatine, Anakin moment here, but different version, different version. Though I
Yeah.
don't think it's
A little bit.
equivalent because it's like, yeah, she kind of does deserve it. She just killed a dude,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I'm here for it. But okay,
But
I guess it's
Voldemort
bad.
also Voldemort also kind of knows that Harry won't do it because he's sort of mocking and egging him on too a little bit. So
Do it. Harry will go on to not do it. In fact,
he will go on, in fact, not do it, and we instead get an extremely badass fight scene. It's very cool. I've always liked it a lot, and yeah, it's great.
Yes. Yeah, it is fun. And then the ultimate message of the film is that the one thing Voldemort does not have is something worth fighting for.
That's
Credits.
right.
Wow, wow.
That's right.
We got the
Yeah.
we got friendship and love. That's what we need,
Yeah.
baby.
That's right. Yeah. That's it. That's all you need. It's that simple. No, honestly, I do really like that it ends on such a like a positive sort of upswing note. I don't know. It's just like this movie's always like left me feeling really good at the end of it every single
Mhm.
time. Um, and I like it a lot. I think, despite the fact that it's cutting whole swaths of the mysteries of the book out, and even simplifying some of it to a degree too. Like
Stupefying.
it's stupefying and simplifying a whole swaths of the plot. We don't even hear the entirety of the prophecy.
Yeah.
We don't know that. We
You
don't know
can
that
gloss over that.
we didn't know that Professor Trelawney is actually the one that spoke that prophecy. That was something we don't find out, also, which is a little interesting, a little bit. Yeah, I still really love it. It's because they were somehow able to do what the previous movie couldn't do, and that's take the core concepts. What are the core concepts of the book? Right, these major two pillars. Maybe like a third little thing in there, I don't know, romance, like family bonds and stuff like that. That's definitely an element of it there too. Take the core elements of the movie or of the book and really just flesh those out and laser focus on those, because that's what's the most important part of the book. The mystery is there still, and it still serves its purpose. It still's serviceable.
Mhm.
It's not as intricately fleshed out as it is in the book, but because it does such a good job of leaning into those two pillars, that like it just sort of overcomes any of the sort of adaptation faults that I kind of levy against Goblet of Fire. So yeah, I've always really enjoyed this one, and it's not my absolute favorite either, but it is it's one that I hold pretty highly.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
The more we talk about it, the more I'm liking it. And it's like maybe it is my favorite. It's up there actually.
here's one thing that may sway or dissuade you. No, the one thing that I actually think is really kind of like both sort of silly and funny, and also kind of cool. If you look at like some of the there is a cast shot of this film, and I think it was used specifically for the soundtrack, maybe some other promotional material too. But it almost looks like a death metal band. Like everybody's all in shadow, and it's all sort of like front lit, like weirdly. But it's also everybody's all like the whole cast, like all Dumbledore's army, is all like enveloped in shadow. It looks really cool, and I like it a lot. But it's a little weird, you know.
So it doesn't
It
have
is a
anything to
little,
do with the substance of the movie, Alec.
yeah, I don't know.
Who
It
do you
didn't
think
really
who
have
do you take
anything
me
to do with
for? To sway me so easily.
it. I mean, I just think that's cool. I just think it's cool and kind of funny.
What do we give it? What's the score for Order of the Phoenix? I'm actually torn a little bit.
It's like right around. I would say this is like right around like 8.59 to me, somewhere in there, somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah, I'm like
Uh,
I might. I'm thinking about giving it a 9, but if I give it a 9,
yeah,
it's definitively the best so far for me because I've given so many 8.5s.
yeah.
It's tough.
It is tough. Um,
So my biggest negative is Groppy. Um,
you
and
know, it's a pretty reasonable negative to have. I'm not gonna lie. It's probably my least favorite. It's probably my least favorite part of the book,
any
if I'm being honest.
honestly any of the CG characters like that, like the freaking ogre in the first movie, that
The
kind of stuff.
centaurs look great though. The centaurs look good.
I guess, but they don't do anything for me.
They're also in the movie for like a grand total of like maybe 30 seconds of screen time. So,
Yeah, and they just run off with Umbridge. Like we're
oh, which
taking
by the
this.
way, which do you know like the mythology? This doesn't like J.K. Rowling was very much like put the kibosh on this, but do you know what centaurs typically did with their like victims?
What's that?
The R word.
Yes, that's what I thought.
So,
That's what I was thinking.
yeah.
Like they're just taking her off to the wilderness. Like what in the world are they gonna do with her? Oh my! And then
Well,
it's just like, oh, she's
I must
suspended. Well, how did this happen?
I must not I
That's
must not tell lies.
that's
So
a easy sentence based on what we saw.
in the book she gets retrieved, and I think they talk about like Harry's visiting like Ron in the hospital wing,
Hmm.
and Ron does this thing where he's like, oh yeah, she just sort of like she just sort of like stares off in the distance all the time, but she always has this really fun interesting reaction whenever you do this, and then he like clicks his tongue like clopping of hooves, like, and then she bolts up, and then and then like Madame Pomfrey comes in and is like, "Oh, what's going on?" And then she's just like, "Oh, nothing. I must have imagined it." And then she like goes back to just like staring up into space. Like,
I would prefer if she just died, honestly.
yeah, probably,
Just let her
but
die.
we would have less chance of her to come back again, which she's going to. So
Okay. All right.
she's too much. I think what J.K. Rowling said was like, like I could have killed her, but she's just too much fun to torture. So
Okay.
like, hey, that ties into our it ties into our our Black Mirror episode, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah. So much fun. We get so much fun
Yeah,
out of torture.
fun, enjoyment.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Do you have a score? You know what you're gonna do?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna.
I'm so torn on it.
Man, I am too. I think this is an 8.5 for me. I think I'm gonna stick to that. Um,
8.5.
stick to that.
Yeah, I'll go 8.5 as well. Tarqaron score 8.5.
All right.
Fair enough.
Sounds good.
I mean, like, when it gets down to it, our scoring system, you can't be as nuanced as you might want to be. Once we get down to
No,
the tier list at the end of things, we can get a little more nuanced with it.
we can for sure. Yeah, this right now is just sort of like scores can only tell you so much.
Hmm.
For
Scores don't tell you the whole story. You ever,
it's true.
that's what my mama told me growing up.
Is that what she said? You'd look at the Game Informer and she'd be like, "Remember, the scores don't tell you
Tell
those
the
the
whole
whole
story.
story."
You have to try it
Yeah,
yourself.
that's right.
You have to try it yourself, and you have to read the whole article. Okay, you have to read the whole review. That's what she said.
7.5, too much water. IGN said. I mean, you gotta read the whole article though.
Yeah, it's
You know,
out of context. A lot of things are taken out of context.
except that wasn't. It was just that was really bad. That was stupid. Everything
It
about
was
that
just a
review
bullet
was
point,
dumb.
but yeah, the water. Yeah, the water.
Yeah.
It was great. It's a great movie. Order of the Phoenix. All right.
Yeah, really enjoy it quite a lot.
Yeah. So if our viewers want another video to watch, in the meantime, what video would you recommend?
Go check out a review of Blood Rain.
Blood Rain, yes. The classic game.
Magical creatures abound in that
Mm-hmm.
amazing game. Amazing. So
By the
amazing
way,
that neither of us finished it.
yeah, we never finished him. We meant to.
Yeah.
We always
Yeah.
mean to. By the way, the alternate title for this movie was just going to be Harry Potter and Dumbledore's Army. They thought that would have been a little cute. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we got. That's what the
You can
title
only
was
I-
in Japan only.
Yeah, Japan only. I think I think it's I think that they were like, well, we got to have a secret organization name, but we can't have a name drop of a prominent character in it. So
Yeah.
we'll just do Order of the Phoenix instead. So
Order of the Phoenix. Yes, yeah. There was debate,
Yeah.
Order of the Phoenix, Dumbledore's Army.
Yeah.
There also were some people pulling for Harry Potter and the Mistletoe Kiss.
Yeah,
which
and the
was-
Room of Requirement.
Harry Potter,
Harry Potter and
and the mistletoe from the Room of Requirement. was
that's
another
right.
one.
That was a little clunky,
Mhm.
but it was a kind of one of those dark horse sort of candidates there for a little bit. But
Harry Potter and the teenage angst.
a lot of that in this
the
book, that
exasperated
movie.
teenage angst. It was very,
Yep.
very good.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Oh, we didn't even go into the fact that we learned some of Snape's backstory and why he's like all
True.
pissy at Harry all the
And I like
time.
that stuff too.
That stuff is really great. They do a good job of that, and yeah, just generally speaking, I mean, Alan Rickman is just amazing always and
Snape's
forever
innocent.
in this role,
Mhm.
and just really shines in this movie. I think a lot. I love how sarcastic and like wanting to be helpful, like just doing Dumbledore what Dumbledore told him to do, like trying to help, quote unquote, but like having his own personal prejudices just like way more at the forefront now, that especially now that Harry's getting older and looks so much more like his dad did.
Mhm.
It's just like a constant reminder that like cool. This guy that was just complete asshole to me is now there. He is. It's him again. I have to deal with him again, basically.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
All right. Well, come back next week for Harry Potter and the Half Blood Prince. Okay.
good stuff. Good
And
stuff.
so if you enjoyed, subscribe to the
Very
channel,
stoked for
like
that.
the video, leave a comment, and if you do, we'll read it in the next episode of the Tarqaron podcast. All right. Hit the notification bell and
Cool.
click the link in the description for our social media. All right.
Okay.